You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Game Control Live, the second episode. A little bit of technical difficulties on live chat for those of you watching live, but we got it all figured out. It's all covered. So, all the way across the table, so far away, Grant Kohrmann in green.
Howdy.
And if you guys look closely, you just might be able to see his nipples because his shirt is see-through. And sitting next to him, the lovely Raychul Moore.
Hi, guys.
Not as transparent. And next to me, Kaori Takee.
Hello, hello.
And guys, I'm Dave Klein. And in the booth, we've got John Quick. John, what's happening?
Well, what's happening is I forgot to switch around some videos. So yet again, technical difficulties all about and all on me. So everybody on the live chat, feel free. Blame John.
I think it's all good. Dude, if you listen right now to the background, pay attention, you got that like Mega Man 3 beat with AFTERBUZZ going on in the background. It's kind of a cool mashup.
I know, it was working well, but yeah.
And for those of you who are wondering, the song is Mega Man 3 theme remix, and that's by DJ Zemex, X-E-M-E-X. I like giving credit to all those songs we use because I love video game music, and all of them deserve credit for the great songs they bring in. And guys, this song, classic Nintendo game, classic Nintendo title, which brings us straight to our first topic, Nintendo Direct, which happened on the 17th this week. And let's go ahead and jump right into it with some of the stuff that Satoru Iwata was talking about, which would be Mario and Luigi Dream World and Mario Golf, and lots of new Luigi things with new Super Luigi U. What did you guys take away from Nintendo Direct this year? Or this month, I should say.
This week.
More Wii U stuff. A lot of this was 3DS, and a lot of big games that I'd rather see on the Wii U.
I think, you know what? I love my 3DS, so I was okay with it, and especially, this is jumping ahead to a little bit later, but just the big announcement to me, the Link to the Past 2, or Link to the Past sequel. Technically, it just came out of the woodworks that there was already a Link to the Past sequel that was Japan only, that was really under the radar. Check it out, look it up, but Link to the Past 2. Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game. So the fact that they're making a sequel that's set in this same world, I could care less what system it's on. I don't care. I love Link to the Past.
Well, like Mario Party. Mario Party's excellent. Love Mario Party, but it's not a handheld kind of game.
You know what? I do agree with that. I think Mario Party would have been better for Wii U, because especially with like
4
Nintendo.
controllers, like family to play it, friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even just the regular DS version of Mario Party just wasn't that good.
I'm playing it by myself.
I know. Such a party of
It's still
one.
fun to play by yourself.
Mario.
I don't know.
Mario Party.
The computers aren't nearly as
Phrasing.
fun. The best part is just screwing over your friends. That's what Mario Party's about. And I mean, they got
Yeah.
Nintendo Land, they've got new Super Mario Brothers U, so it's kind of like if they want to have that party system at least, because that's something Wii U can market themselves as. I think you're right. Mario Party would have been better on Wii U.
I like this
Steel Them
announcement from Nintendo Direct, though. I mean, like, this really gets it. I mean, like, we're 2 months out from E3. This is really setting the stage for what they're going to bring to the show floor, I think.
Yeah.
And when you're competing with Microsoft and Sony, most likely bringing their consoles to the show floor for people to look at and gawk at, and their games that are going to come out later this year with the release of the consoles, like, that's a competition. And Nintendo's like, they're not like saying we got 3 games, we got 2 games. They're saying we're releasing some of them now in summer, and we're gonna come out with these, this, and this next year.
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo Direct, it kind of surprises me a lot of times how anti-E3 Nintendo seems to be. They never seem to really announce much during E3, and this is just further showing like, hey, let's announce everything like a month before E3. But I think they did have some cool Wii U stuff. For me, the system update I'm excited about because, God, the load times suck.
Yeah, they
and
do.
they're fixing the load times up a bit. So that's nice. But the 3DS really is, right now, their selling system. So I can see why they're kind of marketing that. And speaking of E3, I kind of honestly think they might be saving the Wii U announcements for E3.
I'm hoping so.
Well, they've dominated the E3 show floor for the last couple
God,
years.
yeah.
I mean, like, people were not lining up around the show floor and out a door in order to play something in the Microsoft and Sony
Right.
booths. They were doing that for the last 2-3 years at Nintendo because of the announcements they were making with various consoles, but also, you know, like the new technology and games that they're coming out with. Like, Super Mario Brothers U, like, the new Super Mario Brothers game, that got people talking. And it wasn't just because of the announcements, like people were playing it on the show floor.
Yeah, well, they're really, really smart because even at like last E3, they had the Nintendo Land and they were giving away these little pins, and you had to play each of the games to collect the pin to collect all of them. So it was almost like you get to their booth, which is always a madhouse, but then there's like a mini game inside the booth for you to check out all their games.
It's almost like
brilliant.
Disney. I know why you like it, because it's almost like Disney World or
Disney
Disneyland with all the
pins.
pins that they have now that you can get.
Yeah.
Well, I actually watched this video, the YouTube link for the Nintendo thing, and I wanted to get I don't have the 3DS yet. So now I really want to get 3DS. I think this video appealed more for the 3DS than the Wii.
Yeah, and I think it is a case of them trying to maybe save their big Wii U announcements for later. But I mean, just Zelda 2 for me, incredibly exciting. And also,
For me, it was like Pikmin 3. Like, I've been waiting for a new Pikmin for a long time. People have been posting pictures of like these high-res Pikmin and being able to like guide. I mean, like, wouldn't it be great to like play not only an alternate reality version of Pikmin using the Wii U and like an alternate reality card on your table like this, but like also just like playing it on a much more high resolution system, because like that was a game that really relied on the fact that you're playing with these like little flower people in what's supposed to be a real world, like a mini world.
but now you have flying Pikmin.
Yeah.
What? There's flying pig.
There's flying. Apparently, someone didn't watch the trailer.
No, I didn't, because I'm already kind of like on a blackout with Pikmin because I'm so excited for it. So when I find out so much about a game, I go on media blackout, and so I'm not watching anything more about Pikmin.
Well, I just ruined that for you.
I've
Drop
seen-
that bomb.
I know they have rock Pikmin. I really want a Pikmin hat and with the little sprout.
Yeah,
Go
Really bad.
probably E3.
You know what? I didn't play Pikmin 2, but I did love Pikmin, and it seemed like actually the Wii was a good fit for Pikmin, where you can control the way the controller works. I think that was a good fit. We'll see how the Wii U works with it, but
Yeah, but it's never been a gimmick with Pikmin.
I wasn't saying it was a gimmick. I was saying I think it works well.
But that's what's good is like I think they have a lot of games which are gimmicks.
They
so,
sing.
Like
Nintendo itself doesn't. It's more
that's
than,
it. Game over. They sing.
The
It's
Pikmin
done.
sing.
It's more than Nintendo. It's more of other games on Nintendo. Third-party games tend to be more gimmicky. I feel like
Yeah.
first-party Nintendo games aren't. I've never felt that way with
I
them.
agree.
But another big game I'm excited for, I guess it's not super big because it already came out for the Wii, but Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
going to say that.
Donkey Kong Country Returns, I loved the shit out of that game. I thought it was incredible. I was a huge fan of it. Although it brings up to me something I do want to briefly touch on. Brief Dave rant here for you guys is how much I hate Nintendo's handheld philosophy, because they are
Which is?
basically making an entire new mode for Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, which is called New Mode, which is essentially they give you an extra heart for each character, and they're making it so it's way easier of a game, so it's, quote, pick up and play. They did the same philosophy with Luigi's Mansion, a pick up and play philosophy where they broke each mansion into a mission structure. And for me, it completely ruined the design of the game. I think it doesn't work for game design. I think it ruins designs. And I get the idea that they want you to be able to have an hour, you pick up for an hour, put it down for an hour, but I think you can easily fix that, just have save points or things like that. And essentially this new mode is literally just easy mode. They're just trying to market it as something else. They basically just made easy mode. So I don't know.
With the mobile games, I have been doing that though, picking it up and putting it down.
But
like
maybe-
very, very
but
quickly.
maybe you are, but
on my
it's-
console, I'm playing for 2-3 hours at a
Yeah.
stretch. But for the mobile, like my PS Vita and for
Look,
the
I
3DS,
don't
was
disagree
playing it
with
for about
that,
an
though. I
hour.
think that's fine. But the thing that frustrates me and pisses me off is when they design a game for that and it ruins the entire design of the game.
Right.
Because you can pick up a game like, hell, I could pick up like Dark Souls, which is a sit down and play for 2 hours type of game, and play for 30 minutes and put it down. As long as it's, you just put save points or checkpoints into place. There's a way to do it. And
Yeah,
not
and
ruin-
some games do it horribly. And
Yes.
like if I'm playing, and honestly, like even the up-resed version of certain games don't cater to that type of game style. And I find that like it exponentially increases my enjoyment of the game when I'm able to get in and get out of it quickly on a mobile system.
I
Like if
think
it's got a
good,
good
but they're
save system,
ruining it
works.
by marketing themselves too much towards it, and that's what's frustrating to me.
But hey, Pikmin 3, woo!
But hey, Pikmin 3. But on other big news, a new Yoshi's Island DS game coming out. So a lot of people huge fans of Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. I actually wasn't a big fan of that one. I prefer Super Mario's World, but a lot of people love that game, so that's a huge announcement.
I named my dog Yoshi.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yoshi! And a huge bit of news for those of you RPG fans out there. Earthbound is finally coming out to Virtual Console. Finally, we've been begging them for about 5 years.
Yeah, it's
How
been
long?
a while.
Yeah, maybe 6
Hold
years.
hold on, Dave. We're gonna cut quickly to me so I can do my happy dance and go.
I can see it.
So you can see Earthbound fan over there in the booth. And I'm
And
excited
we're done.
for this.
We're done.
I haven't played the game since I think I hacked my PSP and put it on there, but I haven't played it since then. I know, I'm a horrible person. That's why I got the
Absolutely
PSP.
horrible.
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Rachel, I'm assuming you'd be excited for Animal Crossing New Leaf, even though it
my
is
God.
3DS.
I like
Oh
the
my
music
God.
from Animal Crossing. The game requires a bit of more of an investment than I'm willing to put in.
So I'm going to lose so much
I'm waiting for that bundle pack.
life for that game. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to make apple trees. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to bury stuff. and
Berry stuff.
I'm going to do
Make it-
errands for my neighbors.
Go fishing, berry stuff.
Yeah.
Plant trees. It's all about the trees and collecting fruit.
Yes.
You gotta collect the fruit so you can pay off Tom Nook.
And you got to bury a shovel so you can come back gold in a few days. Oh my God, that
I don't
game's going to be
understand this. I
amazing.
must not have played the games more recently.
I got really into the GameCube one. I played not the GameCube one, the Wii U one. The Wii one was the one I got really into. I got the GameCube one, but for some reason I think it's because I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time. We were playing it together, so we're like, let's build up houses together, and it was amazing.
Oh,
You guys were
yeah.
playing
Oh,
house
building
together.
houses together.
I was surprised how emotionally attached I got to some of the characters in Animal Crossing, like the neighbors. I just hope Emerald the Frog is back because she's my bestie. If she's not back, I'm going to be very
I
heartbroken.
got emotionally attached to the characters in Viva Pinata. I don't know why.
I know, they're so cute, and you can name them, and you can color them, and oh my gosh.
But you know what's sad to me? I always wanted, my favorite animal is a fox, and anytime I start a village and there weren't any foxes who were there who'd move in, I'd be like, no, I want to restart so I have a fox animal.
But in the Wii version, or was it? No, it was one of the other versions. You could go to people's towns, and then you would switch some people with.
Oh yeah, you could do that in the Wii version.
Yeah,
but I
that
didn't,
was it.
stealing.
I didn't know other people who
Stealing.
were playing the game who I could because you need the friend code and all that stuff. So.
Twitter.
Oh well, I don't have a million followers like at the Rachel does.
No.
So that's something. But let's go ahead and jump on the whole fact that the Nintendo realizing that, a lot of these announcements are eShop games. They keep on, during Nintendo Direct, it was and guess what? You can buy this on the eShop, or you can buy this on the eShop, and you can buy this on the eShop. And that actually brings us directly to our quick hits, which we've got a bunch of quick hit news stories for you guys. And our first quick hit news story is that Nintendo's eShop actually made up 11% of all 3DS game sales last year. Which, according to Scott Moffitt, who would be the executive vice president of sales and marketing for Nintendo, I believe, it was Star Fox 64 3D and Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D had 20% of their sales through the shop, a third of Fire Emblem sales.
That's the number that's more telling for me. The third of Fire Emblem. That's the number that more other producers want to get. More distributors and producers are going we are seeing 30%, 33%, a third of all of our game sales. The 10%, 11%, and 20% that they were saying, it's not really that big of a shocking number to me. I'm looking when Nintendo comes out and says 30% of our eShop, 30% of our sales are from eShop. That'll be the thing that really shocks me. And I think they're moving towards that, especially with some of the games they're announcing. But at this point, it seems right in line with what they're supposed to be doing. If they came out in the first few weeks and said it was 10% or 11%, that would have made sense to me because it was such an integral part of the launch. It was such an integral part of the 3DS ecosystem and even the the Wii system as well.
Yeah. I think to me the big thing about it is Nintendo's been so anti-internet, everything as in general. So that's why this is a big story to me, is that I think to them they're finally realizing oh, maybe the internet's not this big scary thing.
Yeah.
There's actually a benefit to having internet connectivity and letting people do these things, and maybe we'll hopefully get rid of
They've kept everything in an ecosystem which is tightly contained. So you could still do your personal area network, like you can still do you can connect with other 3DS players as you walk by them on the street. And then also the way that you used the Wii originally was like you had access to the internet, you had access to the shop channel and everything, but it was all within there. Like you were looking out of a Nintendo window onto the greater internet. So like using a computer one day and then switching over to Wii was a very constricting experience. But I mean everything that's come out with their announcements, whether it be from Nintendo Direct or from E3 or the Wii U that came out last year, it seems like they're opening it up.
So Lions fan on the chat says that he's actually surprised that the sales of eShop games are that low.
Yeah, that's
he would have
pretty low.
thought that the number would have been maybe 20 to 25%, which tells him that either many people can't afford those games or don't like the style of games on there. I would
It might
argue
be as simple as the price is just like not right.
Well,
like,
I would argue
sometimes
that
sales help out a lot with that as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would argue. I mean, the point is like eShop. A lot of these examples we're getting are Ocarina of Time 3D and Fire Emblem. I mean, I bought those games. It's just I bought them as a physical copy because I just like having a physical copy.
Some games I love the physical copy, and then others I'm just like, digital copy done.
I
over.
like my collection to expand.
Yeah, I like a physical copy as
I
well.
like my collection.
Yeah.
But and also before we go on to the next topic, I do want to bring up Daryl Best saying that he can't wait for both Zelda Classics, Oracle Ages and Seasons coming May 30th to to the 3DS eShop. That would be part of the Nintendo Direct announcement, just because that was something we didn't mention. That Oracle of Times and Seasons are also coming. So
Also, new Professor Layton.
yeah, new Professor.
I love me some Professor Layton.
Go ahead.
Before we exit Nintendo, I just wanted to mention I'm excited about the Super Luigi game.
Oh yeah,
The
which
DLC?
is the
Yeah.
DLC,
Yeah.
which 80
Yeah.
new levels on the Mario U, which is actually a lot.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Professor Layton will be the wrap up the newest trilogy for Professor Layton. So that'll be fun to see what happens with those Azrans and the Azran treasure.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
But let's go on to our next quick hit story, which would be Minecraft devs made Times Magazine list of top 100 influential people in the world for 2013, and those would be Marcus Notch Person and Jens Bergensten. Notch being the one that everybody really knows. He was the main influence behind Minecraft, and it's always fun to me to see video game personalities and designers and developers make it onto the Times list.
Oh, absolutely.
Yay.
Especially Minecraft. Such a simple idea, but it's amazingly addictive.
Oh yeah.
I was just playing that again yesterday, and it was my most played game in 2012. So says Raptor.
Yeah, the mining
Super
games
addictive.
are my most played games. I mean, I played a combination of Minecraft and Terraria, but like those ones where you just like spend hours and hours and hours mining down and building up, like it can be addicting.
So much fun.
It's amazing how addictive it is, like you said, for such a simple concept. And I get addicted over the dumbest things on it too. Like I'll just decide, like I want to see how low I can make a staircase go, and then how high I can make it go. So it's just the biggest staircase in the world.
Yeah, I like killing all the pigs. I like to chase them and kill them.
I think a lot
This
of
is very telling of our personalities right
Times
now.
100 list is like the success of also bringing it to Xbox. Like you've had a couple of huge, really big announcements from the Mojang team, which is like record sales on the Xbox, record sales on the PC. They passed millions and millions of units on the PC. So yeah, it's that they're very successful. Like they marketed themselves in a way that championed being an indie developer in a time when indie developers were struggling to really produce that first rock star. So they were kind of like the indie rock star first.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple Rockstar indie developers like Braid before
Yeah, but
that.
not people
Yeah.
that are pulling in millions and millions of dollars. Not people that are now like throwing. I mean, like let's just put it this way.
Minecraft, I was at the GDC Awards that year, and I actually interviewed Notch, and he won like 5 awards, I think, at both GDC and the International Games Festivals, or IGFs. So yeah, like you're saying, he was the first giant. Explosive one.
I'm not saying that. Okay, honestly, they aren't. They aren't like the first indie success story by far, but they are the biggest success right now among the indie community. Like you can look to them as being like a place to like their GDC party. You don't see Braid throwing a GDC party. You don't see some of the other big indie developers throwing parties like that. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm personally not a big Minecraft fan. It's just not my thing. It doesn't
I
interest
wasn't
me.
either for the longest time. I fought it, and then a lot of viewers wanted to watch me play it online. And I was like, fine.
It's a very big
So you
play
went
with
into the
me
Let's
game.
Play way of doing
Yeah, I
it.
was like, I will play it for you guys for 1 hour, and then after that, I'm still gonna hate it. And I ended up playing it for like 6 hours, and I'm still hooked.
I just can't get into it.
It's so
You know, I feel like if I had more time on my hands,
And it's
I would get
everywhere now
into
too.
it.
Yeah.
It's on your
It's also
iPhone. It's on your
Who
Xbox.
you play it with? I can't play it by myself. I'm
Yeah.
incredibly bored by myself. But the group I play it with is like the best group I could ever play it with.
Yeah,
They're hilarious.
Well, that's what helps then, because I was playing it before they had it, so you could play multiplayer. Was when I played it was way back when it first came out on PC, and I got this feeling. This happened to me too with Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is actually one of my favorite games. But
I love that game.
With Minecraft though, and I would get this feeling with Roller Coaster Tycoon where I would just start to feel so incredibly lonely while I was playing it.
Yeah,
And-
you're just watching the people ride your rides.
and I would just start
I
to
like
feel
watching them throw up after getting
existential.
off
Oh, yeah.
a particularly bad ride that I designed.
Did you ever just
Yeah.
try to kill them on purpose?
For me, it was mostly by accident. Like I forgot a section of track, and I started the roller coaster, or I removed one by accident, like while placing something else, and I just see the
Accident,
cart go like
everybody.
Yeah,
Totally
accident.
by
fly
accident.
off.
I love that.
I just like trying to build the largest drop that would go underground and then shoot them out immediately.
Yeah,
See how
right.
far I can make them fly. But I mean, like the thing with Roller Coaster Tycoon was I loved it so much that I would push past that lonely feeling. But with Minecraft, I just felt so utterly lonely.
Yeah.
The
It would
music makes you
depress
feel
me.
lonely too. Honestly, it's not like happy-go-lucky music. It's not gonna like just. You never got into it. Did you try
No.
playing it?
A little bit. And I
Okay.
just,
Well, the music's lonely the entire way through.
And then the creepers, and then the
they're
creepers
so
come.
cute.
They look like penises.
They just want hugs, and
They're
I-
just
do.
my
penises that want hugs.
philosophy, our creepers just
Green,
want hugs.
sickly, hissing
Well,
penises.
it's because when you get close to them, they're like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get a hug," and they explode.
Yeah.
Also like penises.
Very true.
All right.
Yes. Oh my god.
Once
wow.
again, we're talking about cocks on this show. Seriously, is this going to be like an every week thing?
I think
hope
we should
so.
try and move it into
They're
the
so
mix.
funny.
But also another big name that got on the list, not this year, but in the past, was Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins of Penny Arcade, which were also, I mean, anytime they tweet something out, it blows up. So of course they were super influential.
Rock stars.
Rock stars. So I'm just excited anytime we get to see that. So let's move on to the fact that Capcom is canceling a bunch of games and bringing development in-house, and they're suffering a $73.3 million loss because
Not
of
as
how
big
many
as
games
Square
they're
Enix's,
canceling.
though.
Gotta say.
Remember we
it's
talked about that
Yeah.
last week. Square
Resident
Enix.
Evil games.
But I mean, this is straight out of canceling games. It's not like games in the middle of development that they're canceling.
It's actually an interesting tactic. It's a good idea. I mean, like, it's better than releasing a game that you spend hundreds of millions of dollars developing and only selling what, like we were talking about with Square Enix last week. Like, if you're releasing a game that only sells like a couple 100,000 copies and doesn't make back your hundreds of millions that you put into it, like, I think that's worse than canceling a game. I think
Right.
Capcom is doing a good. I mean. There might be jobs lost. There might be, like, projects halted and people might be reorganized. But I think it's a good idea.
I guess it just depends, because I mean, if they're almost done with developing the game and it was a decent game, they can at least make some of that money
Yeah.
back.
That's
But
what I
what
was
was
thinking
the
too.
last Capcom game that was really good?
Dragon's Dogma.
Oh,
Which was really
no.
good. I liked
That
it.
was terrible.
I actually
you
didn't play it.
guys.
It just looked good.
Any game that allows you to
That game was
crawl
awful.
Was it
all
really?
over crawl all over. I mean, like, God. I mean, like, your
I was
characters are like
excited for it and
pawns.
I didn't play it. It looked like Dark Souls to me, and that's why I wanted to play it. And then I didn't play
I
it.
was so excited for it, and then it came out, and I was playing it. I was like, "This is gonna be great," and then I hated it.
All your familiars in the game are called pawns.
They are.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which
I
kind of
remember
like
reading about that.
it's like you get to walk around calling your your subservient people pawn. Like, you're
I
my
made
pawn.
mine that looked like Nathan Drake, so I had little Nathan.
Of
Drake
course.
on.
Of course.
Yeah, surprise.
But what I mean, like, it kind of brings to me, like, what games are they canceling? Because we almost talked about this last week, but it came to light last week that Capcom had canceled Maverick Hunter, which was a FPS Mega Man game, which to me looked so badass. It looked kind of like Metroid Prime, but for Mega Man. And they probably canceled that because of Keiji Inafune leaving Capcom. But I'm just like, man, that game looked sick. Are those the type of games that they're going to be canceling right now? And that's more where I'm like, but what are they canceling?
Well,
Right.
are they
Never-
canceling and not starting in a new?
They're just straight up canceling them.
Yeah.
The world may never know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, these are canceling the projects. Like, I mean, it's important to remember that these places hold on to their IPs for a long, long time, and canceling it may just put it on hold. They may come back to it, and
Yeah.
canceling is a good way of, like, redirecting the money and the personnel to other things.
Well,
so
just-
it's like rebirth. It's
But
the
the last
Phoenix.
few games haven't even been profitable. I mean, Resident Evil, both of their last two Resident. No, wait.
5 and 6.
Raccoon City wasn't Capcom, was it?
I'm not sure if Raccoon City was.
But 6 was, and that was a disaster.
Well, yeah, man, it's
Dead
funny because like
Rising.
you kind of tell like once the trailer comes out
Rising.
that not that many people were into either 5 or 6. It seemed like just from the hype surrounding it.
I liked 5. I thought it was pretty solid.
I just didn't
played
like
it through
the
several
co-op
times.
thing. That was the thing that bothered me with it. I just didn't think they did a good job with the co-op. Which
Yeah.
it kind of took away that fear because I liked Resident Evil 4 because it was an action survival game, horror game, but it still had that horror element.
Right.
But as soon as you add someone in who's helping you out, it makes it not as scary.
Yeah, but I think BioShock Infinite did a good job of still being creepy, but Elizabeth was there.
I think it's 'cause
giving
Elizabeth
you
was a
stuff
baller.
Constantly. Oh man, I want her in real life.
That's
like,
why.
Here, take some money. All right.
So you need some money? Yes.
I know. She was awesome.
They did it well, but it's tough with. But that wasn't a survival horror game, and I think that's the difference too. Is I think it's hard with a survival horror game because the more people you have with you, the more empowered you feel, which takes
Right.
away from the horror element.
Yeah, that's true. I did like in 5 what a
Like
lot
Fatal
of people.
Frame, I bet you're by yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I love Fatal Frame. But in 5, a lot of people didn't like that you couldn't run and gun, but I thought that added attention to it because then you do have to plan out your shots better, and you can't. Run and gun is just too easy for a Resident
Yeah, but
Evil
then they
title.
did it in 6.
Yeah.
So we've actually got Rocky Nerd Swag McGee, awesome name, disagreeing with me on the chat, thinking that it would have sucked if the Mega Man game would have come out. And Watchtower Base thinks that Resident Evil 6 was horrible.
Yeah.
Throwing out
that's-
those tidbits about Capcom. But yeah, you know what though? I will say I'm really excited for the game that they announced, even though it does look like a Dragon's Dogma type of game. But the game that they had announced that they showed a trailer for PS4 looks really cool to me. I think it's just because I like the medieval style of it. But I have no idea what it's going to be, but it looks cool. I hope it's good.
Yeah.
And they're bringing all their, and as Grant, you said, it's kind of a rebirth. They are bringing all of their development in-house to try and refocus and make the games better. So I mean,
See,
hopefully they will.
because they're doing that, because they stopped the games in development, I'm expecting their games to be much better at this point.
I
But you
hope,
don't. We don't.
I
I
hope.
mean, like we
They
know.
have to.
We know a little
Yeah.
bit of what they're gonna do, but we don't quite know where they're gonna go yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so Grant, we're going to jump on the topic I know you all want to talk about.
Go
You're big
from
about
canceling games
to announcing games.
Yeah.
Good transition there. So Steam Greenlight, just I believe it's their first wave of games that have been announced through the Steam Greenlight project. And yeah, my favorite, Shovel Knight, was announced on
Yeah,
it.
I saw that too.
Shovel Knight, it's going to be so good.
I know. I'm excited.
I talked about this a while ago. I'm not confused by the fact that Greenlight is as popular as it is. I'm confused at how it's going to affect the indie community because like a lot of indie games are going to Kickstarter to find their fans, and like basically with Kickstarter. You start your campaign, you gather your fans. If it's like 400 people or 5,000 people, like you get most of these campaigns will give you a copy of the game, and they dictate how much the game will sell for right there in the campaign, especially for people who support the campaign. With Greenlight, it adds an extra component which injects Steam into the process, which injects Valve into the process of the indie game. So I'm like a little bit. I like the fact that they're pioneering it, but I almost feel as though they're kind of jumping on the bandwagon. The Greenlight thing was done second to the indie community really getting their wings with Kickstarter and Indie Royale and some of these packaging systems like the Humble Bundle. And I think that Greenlight is kind of like saying like we can do it too.
I don't know, man. I've
Yeah.
talked to you about this before, and I just don't see the comparison of Greenlight to Kickstarter.
No, there's no comparison. I just think, I mean, like in a lot of going to the Kickstarter campaigns for different games, like they'll say, like,
Actually,
oh,
Shovel Knight
we're
was
gonna do
Kickstarted and now
yeah,
Greenlit.
Yeah, so like, they're doing both. I just think that it's kind of like with Shovel Knight, we'll use that as an example.
Good example.
With Shovel Knight, you have if it existed solely as a Kickstarter campaign, it would be up to the developer to say like, oh, we're going to offer it on the Humble Bundle afterwards, or we're going to sell it through ourselves. We're going to sell it through one of the other portals. But with the Greenlight process, there's Steam is part of it, and Valve is part of it, and they may end up helping to dictate how the game goes and when it's released, how it's released, etc.
It's almost like XBLA is kind of like the summer hits thing.
Right.
It's almost like that in a way. I would compare more to that.
But summer hits were already well produced. Like I know
But
that
these
they
are all,
helped to produce
but a lot of
them
these games
and,
are
like,
already well produced too. Like Rush Brothers, which looks literally like Super Meat Boy, a straight up ripoff, but multiplayer. I mean, it's done apparently. I mean, Faceless looks awesome.
Another thing,
I don't know about that.
the
I
Greenlight,
just like, man, how could you not be excited for Faceless?
Greenlight tends to force the developers to release the games early so the community can play them. And I don't always know if that's a good idea because I would rather, like, some games it's great to play like an alpha, especially when they've developed an entire level. But other games, it's it kind of destroys the story to play a game early, and I think the Greenlight mechanic.
But that's not what Greenlight is, though. I thought Greenlight was literally just
lot
like
of
these are
times,
the
like, the
games that we
Greenlight-
will release on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Greenlight also allows you to play games before they've been released.
Does
So
it?
like through the Steam store and through what you're able to do through the Steam community, you can download the games that are under development. Not all of them.
So we've got Hayden Gorange on the chat saying, but Steam is almost a selling point for indie games, and it used to be really difficult to get your game on Steam. Now it's much easier. So they will almost certainly sell many, many more copies than they would on their own.
Right. Yeah.
But Steam isn't doing it for free. When they're doing it through Kickstarter, you get quite a bit of the profits. I think Steam will cut into the profits for the indie developers.
Well, I'm sure.
Like if all your regardless of what I say and what Hayden Gorange said, would you rather, as a developer, get all of your purchases through a third party other than Steam or through Steam?
Well, I mean, again, with Kickstarter, it's games where they need funding to even make the game in the first place.
And the marketplace.
Yeah.
With Steam, you've already got all of that built in.
Right.
You've got the fans, you've got the marketplace, you've got the advertising. It's all just there.
So, I mean, I still think it's something different. But anyways, they did announce their first slew of games. So, I mean, I think there's some that look fun. So
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
looking forward
totally
to it.
agree.
What were some of your guys' favorite ones?
Shovel Knight, of course.
Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
The angry video game nerd.
Yeah. wait. So why aren't you excited for Faceless?
Because it looks like I've played it before.
It does
I
look
was
exactly
watching it
like.
and I'm like, this looks extremely familiar.
It does look just like Slender.
Yeah.
But I like Slender. I'm like, well, it's a better version of Slender. Slender,
yeah, maybe.
It's just fun, like having my friends play Slender and being like, you don't know what this is, but I'm gonna turn off the lights and just watch.
Yeah. That's creepy.
It just looks scary. It seemed like the kind of game I'd want my friend in the room with the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's awesome about it. I like those types of games.
I do
No, it
too,
seems
I
like the
do
game I
too.
turn
Yeah.
the lights off, I turn off like all the LEDs on my desk, I like my peripherals, I'll turn it off and like I'll play the game in the complete and total darkness. Maybe even in 3D if I can.
Grant, what about you?
Hopefully.
What's
I actually really like Shovel Knight, and I'm a little bit sad for some of the games that didn't get greenlit that I know that were part of the contention. I just think that like
it's sort of a popularity contest in
Yes,
a way.
it very much is.
It
And
is.
like some games, and you're gonna find. I think going forward, you're gonna find a lot of that. I think the popularity contest will adversely affect because like even though Kickstarter is essentially a popularity contest, I think it's a much like people are speaking with their money ahead of time with
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, I
which
agree.
you aren't necessarily doing that with Greenlight. You're not saying like I dedicate to pay $15 for this. You're basically going like upvote me, and I
Yeah.
think upvote is much you're separated from your upvote. You don't have a dedication. You're not like you're not dedicated to that upvote.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
have
mean,
one. You can just vote.
You can really like just do a viral campaign pretty easily for something like Greenlight, whereas opposed to Kickstarter, people have to genuinely be invested.
Yeah,
which
and they
makes
have to
a
pay
difference.
up too. Like there's
Well, yeah,
some serious
hence-
business concerns with Kickstarter as well.
Hence the investment. But let's talk about what we're invested in and talk about our moments of the week. So I guess I will go ahead and start. I was going to mention that in Dark Souls, I got the Darkwood Grain Ring in my new Dex build, and it makes you a ninja, which is awesome. But since we didn't touch on it too much, I do want to bring up Link to the Past again, because that really is my moment of the week, is the Link to the Past 2 announcement. And John actually has the trailer queued
I
up.
have something special for you guys.
So an
You know it.
amazing Link to the Past trailer. So let's cue that baby up for you guys. And soon enough.
Our Laserdisc player, it's booting up.
It's booting up, guys. And for those of you listening, I'll describe in the background what's happening. John, is it playing on the stream? Because it's no signal on the TV.
Yes,
John's
it
just
is.
like dancing in the room, like
Okay, so this is actually, John, thank you so much, the trailer to the original Link to the Past that was brought to the U.S. of a bunch of a dude Link in tights and spandex dancing.
What? Really? I've never seen this.
Well, you'll have to go watch on YouTube then.
I know.
Okay, so that's not right, but let's pull up the actual trailer. But this is amazing because Nintendo actually did this, you guys.
Nintendo
Yes,
actually did a lot of stuff.
They
like
did
that.
this. Yeah, so it's not the 90s anymore. So we now have an actual trailer, which would be a Link to the Past 2. And you guys can see some of the gameplay that they show in. And my only problem with Link to the Past 2's trailer is a lot of it looks so similar to Link to the Past, the original one.
No, it is a
Then I'm
remake.
kind of, it's not a remake. It's an actual sequel, just set in the same world.
Yeah.
It's like Zelda 2. They're in the same world, but they are different games. So it's supposed to just be in the same world.
Well, they showed the overworld map, and it's like exactly the same as well.
It's still supposed to be a sequel, though, and it's supposed to be in the same world. It's just that the dungeon that they do show looks so similar to one of the dungeons that was in A Link to the Past that I'm kind of want something new. But regardless, Link to the Past 2.
This music makes me so happy.
Amazing, yeah, and
It's
the
like the
music.
Indiana Jones
It's not
theme
like
song.
Minecraft at all. It's much
Instantly
more
makes me
Indiana
happy.
Jones was the
uplifting.
best. So I've just I'm just excited to see Link to the Past 2 and even this music, as you said, it just brings back so much nostalgia.
Yeah.
And this song to me is the Legend of Zelda version that I like the most.
The Legend of Zelda, the Symphony is coming back. Nintendo 60 Symphony is coming back to
Oh, good.
at E3 in Los Angeles.
I love
so if you're in
that.
Los
Oh,
Angeles
cool.
and you like this music, get ready for E3.
Yay!
I'm totally into video game music. Totally.
Okay, so let's go to Kaori.
I actually beat Tomb Raider, so that was my moment of the week. The other one, really quick, I don't know if you were able to see them. Deviant artists Victor Soren and Glauber Tanaka mixed video game characters with real life pictures, photos, so it looked really, really cool.
Is this the one where it's like 16-bit, or that you see
Yeah,
like 16-bit
16-bit.
characters and then behind just the real background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it looked so cool. That was my moment of the week.
I saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. That one was pretty awesome, where they're just like walking through an alley.
Yeah, they had like Super Mario, they had Chrono Trigger, they
I
had
didn't see these.
Final Fantasy 3. It was
I need to check out the
Oh,
Chrono
wow.
Trigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
You guys just check it out.
It's amazing some of the great artwork that's now coming from our generation, because we're the generation who grew up with gaming, and just seeing what people come up with.
Well,
it's incredible.
It's crazy because it's 16-bit and then it's real life stills, and the stills look cartoony because of the 16-bit. It looked phenomenal.
I really enjoy the stuff that the artist community comes up with, because like not only are they love their games, but like they're inspired to go out and create like art
Yeah.
that in some ways, I mean, like
Right.
World of Warcraft, if you've seen their fan art gallery on their website, like some of those people could do art for the game. It's
I
really,
wish
really
I was
impressive.
good at art stuff.
Yeah, me too. It
terrible.
blows me away when people are that good.
Yeah.
It's so impressive.
So jealous.
All right, jealous one over there.
Yes.
Rachel, what is your moment of the week?
At first, it was that I finally beat BioShock Infinite, and it was amazing. But
So now we can talk about it.
yes,
What'd you
we
think about
can.
the ending?
Without spoilers.
Without spoiling
spoilers.
it. I liked it and I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I'd actually figured the whole thing out before beating it.
Aliens.
So that was extremely disappointing.
They hint at it pretty hardly
So
just before it
disappointing.
happens.
Well, I kept hearing about how amazing the ending was. It was going to blow my mind. So I was expecting that feeling from BioShock 1, that holy crap feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
but
then
like
when I figured
the
it out,
Would You Kindly, that moment wasn't there for me.
oh my
like, it
God,
wasn't-
that
it wasn't
freaking
there.
blew
Well,
my
that was, like-
mind. I was floored.
Plus, that was integrated into the gameplay, which I liked a lot more. But sorry,
Right.
go on.
The ending, so it was good. It was pretty solid. I just wish I had been surprised. So I missed all that. But I freaking loved that game. It was phenomenal. But my real moment of the week is the Evil Within trailer.
Which
Yeah,
we
I know.
actually have for you guys. John will pull it up.
I'm a huge horror fan.
Get ready to go.
Huge survival horror fan. And this shows nothing of the actual game. But
It's actually a very
it's an
psychotic trailer.
amazing, badass video.
And we've got it playing right now for you guys.
We need a good survival horror game. It's been such a long time since we got a really solid, scary game. And I do not count Dead Space. This hopefully will be good.
Dead Space 1 was awesome.
It was not scary.
It was at the beginning until you became really super powerful.
Well, true survival horror is supposed to be about the environment being scary and not pop-out scares. I hate pop-out scares. They're cheap and easy to do.
So you're
That's
thinking
why I didn't like Dead Space.
Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness was the shit.
When they told me my memory card was erasing my save, I jumped up.
I cried. And it was just joking.
I kind of want to ask the people in the chat, when Rachel sent this video out to all of us, I couldn't help but notice that this person in the trailer is constantly working on barbed wire. And
And
like,
cutting himself on it.
He just looks like so into creating the barbed wire. Like he's like, I gotta I'm gonna like put it around the little thing, and I'm like gonna cut the wire, and like, oh, it's so vicious.
And there's definitely like there's this weird almost like pyramid head-esque figure
Pyramid
that
Head.
you
Yeah, there's a lot of Resident Evil type, no,
Silent
Silent
Hill.
More
Hill
Silent
type
Hill
stuff.
too. Yeah, Silent
Yeah,
Hill.
but that's kind of good too because I think
It's very Silent Hill Revelations.
It's done by a guy that did Resident Evil and Resident Evil 5, that series. that series. And I don't think Americans can do survival horror, but the Japanese sure can.
They are way better at it.
So this makes me even more excited.
The four-armed bloody dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And at the end,
I thought that was a girl.
Things. Yeah, I think it was
Oh yeah,
chick.
it was a girl.
And then the things.
I just say
popped
dude as a
out.
general statement.
Is that? I can't see it. Is that coming up right now?
I think
Yes, yes, it is. Actually, the forearm. Yeah.
That was pretty
So,
creepy.
I just love the video. I just love the video. If the game is anything like that video, I am going to just love it.
I feel like this is gonna be a case of Dead Island though. Like
With
Dead
barbed wire.
Island had such an amazing
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone, all my friends were coming up to me like, dude, did you see the Dead Island trailer? My friends who don't even play that many video games.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you guys, this shows
How does this
nothing of the
remind you
game.
of the Dead Island trailer?
Because you don't see anything of the actual game.
the trailer's really good, and the
Oh,
game
okay.
usually.
Like,
probably-
Sorry, I zoned out there for a minute because I remember the Dead Island trailer very specifically, the reverse time. Like,
Yeah, like it was a
Ugh.
great trailer that gets you really pumped up, but you have no idea what the actual game is. So, but if it's a good survival horror game, I love survival horrors
this
too,
to me is
so.
like Silent Hill with more barbed wire.
Yes, I'm all
And
about.
if you can't craft
Silent
barbed
Hill.
wire in this game, like it's going to be a
Right.
serious disappointment for me
Yes.
when the day one buy.
Apparently, it's actually going to be a tower defense game, survival horror, where you create the barbed wire. All right, Grant, what is your moment of the week?
I wouldn't really call it my favorite, although I do like seeing.
Well, it's your moment of the week.
I like seeing companies falter a little bit, or I like seeing. I mean, like I'm a sadist like that. Like I'm a little bit of a like a Grinch, Grant the Grinch.
We've
Green
found this out many
Grinch.
times.
Grant the Green Grinch. My moment of the week was that the Ouya came out it came out. Multiple people did benchmarks for the Ouya this week, and it was widely circulated that the Ouya is less powerful than its cell phone counterparts that also run the same processor. So. The Ouya was billed as being like the replacement console, the place that you would go and you would play your mobile games. And it's like if you're having trouble playing your mobile games fast or fancy on your mobile phone, go home and play it on your Ouya. Developers, if you want to be able to create a nice, powerful shooter, go home, develop it on the Ouya. But the performance metrics for it when they ran the benchmarks are like way south of what a powerful cell phone
I
is.
think it was ranked like the 76th most powerful Android device.
Yeah, it was scoring in the 3000s, and like and the benchmark for a couple of the Tegra 3 and 4 phones that are out right now are up in the 4000s. So it's a pretty marked difference.
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous.
It's just like more and more things are coming out not in favor of the Ouya.
Yeah.
I will say for my friend, because we didn't talk about it last week, James Melton, this is for you. He's excited for it because, and we were having this conversation after the show last week, because it still is supposedly incredibly hackable. So it's for people who like making homebrew type of style games. You can really do homebrew with it, and I think it's only $100 for the Ouya.
Yeah, it's very cheap.
So
it's
it's a
not
cheap
a
development
$500
system.
cell phone.
But
Like,
at the same
it's
time, with
inexpensive.
the way things are now, like I feel like, well, you have a PC and Steam now, so you'd almost rather why not just try and make a game for Steam and hope it works?
Yeah.
Try and get it greenlit.
But they were like that. Part of that
or go
Kickstarter
iOS.
campaign was like, make your shooter, make whatever you want, and like if you're a developer,
So make it and market it to a system that actually will have people
yeah,
playing it.
mobile phones. People are going to put it in, like right now the Ouya is hamstrung by its own. Well, it's not hamstrung. You can get a lot of other Android games on there, but it has its own marketplace. So if you're a savvy developer and you know that a phone is going to be able to run your game better than the Ouya, why not just release it on the phone?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
agreed.
agree. Plus, there are more users on the phone too.
Yeah, tons more. No one has the Ouya yet.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how many do though. But let's push on forward to a kind of cool story to me that came out, which apparently there's a Sega console prototype. And while I talk about this, John will queue up a video. There's actually video footage of this prototype, which is called Pluto. And it was some supposedly Sega employee, I mean, we don't know how true this is, came out and said that the Pluto is basically a Sega Saturn with a built-in Netlink modem, and it was a prototype. And they just finally, 14 years later, this
22
came to
baud.
surface. And there were only supposedly 2 prototypes.
This too.
And both of them came to surface. It was Super Magnetic was the poster who talked about the Pluto, and then later an actual user came out on YouTube. KidVid666 came out with a video of him actually running this prototype he bought for $1 from a flea market, apparently.
Holy crap.
He bought it for $1 from a flea market, and now he's going to try and sell it on eBay and probably make quite the profit.
He shouldn't sell it.
Yes.
I would keep it.
Well, I guess if he doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's up on screen as he's just showing the size comparison between the regular Sega Saturn for the U.S. and also he has apparently the Japanese version of the console. And like one of the things he's noting about it is that the CD, I guess you could say like the tray cover does not stay down unless he puts something heavy on top of it. So
Well, it is a prototype.
Well, it's a prototype.
Yeah.
I mean, the main difference that
Surprised
you
if there
can
wasn't
see.
some part of it was kept together by duct tape.
I mean, it was still a Sega Saturn. It was just a prototype for a new version of the Sega Saturn.
I wonder how big
And
the modem is.
It had the only way that you could tell that it was a Pluto was that there's a Pluto 2 sticker like on the bottom of it. Instead of saying like Saturn, I guess it says Pluto-02.
Well, that would have been like a what? Like a code name, kind of?
Right, yeah, it'd be like it, you know, when they were calling the N64 Dolphin and stuff like that, they had that on the prototype. But I think what it brings to life is we can kind of talk about just the Sega Saturn a little bit too, because I had a Sega Saturn and man, things just make me sad talking about it.
I'll
'cause-
never forget when it first came out. Like I was sitting in, when it was about to come out, Toys R Us, good God. This is going back. Toys R Us would put out Sunday advertisements, and they were putting out an advertisement for the Sega Saturn when it was about to come out. And I was trying to convince my aunt that if I was like really good in school and I got good grades, you know, like that I could get a Sega Saturn. And I was sitting at the restaurant just reading down the list of like the features, and I was like, it's got like 16 million colors, and it's a CD, and it doesn't have cartridges anymore, and it's just fantastic, and I don't know. I mean, like the specs nowadays escape me, but I listed off the entire range of specs. I might have even told her how much RAM or memory it had in it, trying to convince her that it was a good idea.
I had a Sega Saturn as well, and I mean, I liked it, but I was still a Nintendo girl.
Yeah,
But the Dreamcast changed that for me.
Dreamcast was amazing.
It was.
I had a Sega Saturn, and I was debating PlayStation or Saturn, and I still had a Super Nintendo and loved it. But I was like Saturn or PlayStation, Saturn or PlayStation, and I finally decided on the Sega Saturn, and I loved it. I actually rented it from Blockbuster first, back when you could rent consoles from Blockbuster to see if I could like it.
Yeah, we're bringing back the
And-
old school Toys R Us and
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
Toys R Us still around.
I
And
still
I-
liked my PlayStation better, though.
Yeah, well, I didn't have a
Yeah.
PlayStation yet, but I rented it with Virtual Fighter Kids, and I rented it with Knights wasn't out yet, but Virtual Fighter Kids was the one I remember just blowing me away. Like, oh my God, this is insane! It's in my house and it's working.
That was
Bugs, I guess. Was
They were bringing a lot of the Sega arcade games to the Sega Saturn at
Yeah.
home as well. So like I remember one of the ones I was focused on was Virtua Fighter. I played Virtua Fighter addictively in the arcade, and I was like, I'm gonna be able to bring it home. Yay! No more quarters spent.
Dylan Long says
Right.
Sega Saturn sucked on the chat. Dylan Long, you suck. The Sega Saturn was amazing.
I never got
hey.
into the Sega Saturn either. I was more the Nintendo side completely.
Well, yeah. Well, the
I didn't
Sega-
like the Genesis, so going to Sega, I was like, eh.
As a kid, my mom only let me have one at a time. So I cycled. I went from the Sega Saturn, and then no, I didn't have a Sega Saturn. I wanted to. I had the Nintendo 64.
Look, it's all
Didn't
about.
have the Super
Let me
Nintendo.
drop on you some titles here. It's all about Albert Odyssey, amazing JRPG, so much awesome humor. Shining the Holy Ark, which was Shining Force, a sequel sort of, but it was instead of first-person RPG. Incredible RPG. You have Mysteria, The Realms of Lore, an awesome strategy game, but sort of a strategy RPG hybrid. Knights into Dreams. So good, and it came with a special controller that you'd use an analog stick for, and it was
He's
instead
actually
of the control
sweating now.
pad.
If you can't see,
I'm,
my
Yeah,
I'm
he is.
so into it.
And lest we forget
And
one of the
Clockwork
most.
Knights, and what, John?
Lest we
Panzer
forget one of the
Dragoon?
most. Panzer Dragoon Saga, one of the most famous
Yeah, Panzer
and expensive games now available.
I almost bought it, and I didn't have $5 enough to buy it, and I didn't. And I'm like, I could have had Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Yeah.
And Shining Force 3 came out just before the Saturn died. But my big story and why the Saturn makes me sad is because I did really love it, and a lot of PlayStation games that I liked a lot were on the Saturn, like Rayman. And Crystal Dynamics was actually bringing a lot of their games over, like the Horde, which is also awesome. I'll just keep name dropping games, but. It made me sad because they decided to cancel it before it really got, like, you know, before all the other consoles, they decided that they were going to stop producing games for it. So I was so mad at Sega, and I was like, I'm never going to buy a Sega console ever again, ever, because they did this. And then I bought a Dreamcast anyways, and then it happened all over again.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite
Sega!
systems. Dreamcast was magic.
Sega! John, I know there's something you wanted to mention about Sega in general.
I think I ran over him with one of my comments. I interrupted him.
John?
He's knocked out.
Yeah, no. No, what I was gonna say is that the Saturn is just like a really, really sad story of a lot of great ideas that just kind of got mishandled. I mean,
So was Sega CD.
Yeah, well, Sega CD and then the 32X were all like really, really bad ideas.
God, I forgot about the 32X.
And then, yeah.
Although I did like it.
And then one of the key things that apparently killed it was that they used 5-sided polygons as opposed to 4-sided polygons as like their base for like all the models in there. So if you were coding or creating something for this Sega Saturn, they had to have like these 5-sided polygons as opposed to the usual 4-sided ones, which was, I guess, like it was weird. It was kind of for the same reason that people of this current generation have problems programming for the PS3, because the cell processor.
It would have been a completely different process. Like you would have been coding a game for one system, and if you wanted to release it on another, or even make it as an arcade cabinet, you'd have to fall in line with what Saturn and had outlined as their five-sided polygon.
Now, something kind of interesting that actually brings up is that the 32X, which you were mentioning, was initially codenamed Mars. And there was a 32X/Genesis combo that was codenamed Neptune. So they were kind of going with the whole system thing, because this one was Pluto.
Yeah.
And then Sega Saturn. So kind of a cool note. But that actually, what you're talking about with Sega's misstep, sort of brings us to our first section of our segment. That's a quote. And our first quote is from Michael Pachter, where he's kind of talking about the missteps with Nintendo that they've taken with the Wii U. And he's quoted saying that the only key hardware device to underperform our expectations was the Wii U. And its fortunes appear unlikely to improve for several months, even if Nintendo decides to drop price, as there are an insufficient number of core titles that are generating interest in the console. And he goes on to talk about why it won't perform or do as well as PS4 and Xbox. But that's actually a lot of what you were saying last week, Rachel.
Yeah, I was going to say he just kind of quoted and said the same thing that gamers have been saying for about a year now.
He actually just watched Game Control Live last week and heard you say this.
I don't get in the news when I say that, but geez, that guy does, and he's all knowing.
It's because he's Pac-Man. Michael Pac-Man Pachter.
Yep.
I think it brings to light, I mean, that is the problem with Wii U right now, is that they don't have any core Nintendo titles. And even as we were talking about Nintendo Direct earlier, they didn't really announce anything big other than Pikmin 3, which we've known is coming for a while. So, I mean, they've really, in my mind, just have to step it up at E3.
Yes.
And actually announce core titles.
And I think they really will, because they know they're going to be competing against two major new system announcements and their games coming with it, with the PS4 and the new Xbox. So I think Nintendo knows they have to really, really bring it this year.
And we actually had a comment about this from, I believe it was Ryoko Asakura, Last Fan. They commented last week on our on YouTube, so I'm trying to bring in some of you guys too, that add-ons for systems never end well. Look at Sega, just in terms of that. And I believe they were also just talking about that whole Nintendo thing they were talking about too, so I just want to give them a shout out for that. But he kind of goes on too, and this is his quote from Michael Pachter again, just talking about how the PS4 and 360, or the new 360, are probably going to be doing some sort of subscription service where you pay month by month, so it'll seem cheaper to people. I really hope they don't do that.
Yeah, I hope they don't. That doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah.
That would drive me crazy.
Yes,
I don't need any more monthly payments.
Nope. Just give me my Xbox Live and I'm happy.
Yeah, because he's talking about how, like, it'll make it seem like the Wii U isn't that good of a price compared to the other consoles, and that they're all going to be more of a competitive price. But from the guesses we've been getting from PS4, the speculation from PS4 and from the new 360, it seems like the Wii U is a competitive price compared to them in terms of that.
Yeah.
It's still like the Wii, a competitive price. So
it's just not a heavy
honestly, if
lifter.
they do a subscription thing like what Michael Pachter's suggesting, to me that would seem like less of an incentive. Like, you mean I have to pay $100 every month? No way I'm gonna do that.
I don't know if it's gonna be like $100 every month,
Well,
but
maybe 50. I mean, still though.
Well,
No.
I mean,
Or a year.
can you
I
buy
can't
like
imagine
a
that.
year-long Xbox Live Gold subscription for like $50? Like,
And you can get it for a deal for like $35, $40 every now and then as well. Like if you're looking for it and you're actually a subscriber, you will be able to find it relatively inexpensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that they'll find people that'll fall in line with this.
But not for $100 a month.
It depends on what you're
it depends on the
offering.
price.
Well, yeah.
It depends, because I definitely think I get my money's worth with Xbox Live, but not PlayStation Plus. That I find is a
I didn't
ripoff.
renew my PlayStation Plus subscription just recently. I was buying Guacamelee, and I was like, it's $11 to buy it on PlayStation Plus, $11.99. It's $14.99 to buy it with a regular, and I was like, okay, well, it's time to re-up my PlayStation Plus subscription. I go, and it's like $50, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I definitely will not be renewing mine. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about our next quote, which is from the Quantic Dream founder, and that they made Heavy Rain, for those of you wondering, David Cage, and he was quoted sticking up for Japanese gaming. And I bring this up because we've been talking last week about how Japanese games sort of not performing as well, or are they performing as well? And a lot of people, especially the former creator of Mega Man, Keiji Inafune, constantly rips on Japanese gaming. So here's David Cage sticking up for them, saying, quote, I've loved Japan's games for a long time, and I've always been playing them. My personal impression is that Japanese games have high creativity and really cut through the mold. Really, Western games have a tendency to just repeat the same things over and over again and be hesitant to change. I really think Japan's creators are the ones making more ambitious challenges with their work. So I think it kind of just depends on the developer you look at, honestly. I mean, he goes on to quote that his favorite developer is Fumito Ueda, who made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. But that's not like all the games coming from Japan.
Right.
It's not like Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, no, I wish they were, but they're not.
I feel like the good Japanese games are the really, really good ones. It starts like a high expectations for other games, so people get really upset when it's not that game that they expect it to be. To give them like, oh, it was like this game, I got the same feeling, and it's a completely different feeling, and people don't like it.
Or they just don't come out. Like the new Fatal Frame still isn't coming out.
They just have like specific expectations for Japanese games,
Yeah.
which I think causes trouble for.
I do think that you see some innovations coming from them, definitely, but I think lately we've been seeing innovations come from everywhere. I think he just really likes them because apparently Heavy Rain got a lot of high praise in Japan.
Ugh, I really didn't like that
Heavy
game.
Rain made money too. Only cost about $10 million to make and made $100 million. That's what came out this week.
Really? Wow. I didn't know it made that much.
I like to play my video games, not watch them and hit a button when I'm told to be. So.
You don't like QuickTime events?
Oh God, a game of QuickTime events, and then they market it as like, oh my God, there's so many different endings, and you get to choose all these different. No, you still were funneled to basically the same decisions, and the voice acting was horrendous.
Yeah, the voice acting was horrendous, but I still like the game just because I like mystery horror stuff. So I was enthralled the whole time, like, but who did it? I just like that who did it thing. So
I like the naked scene. That was really cool. I'm hoping that Beyond we'll have more gameplay rather than just button pushing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was unique. So I mean, to me, it was like, all right, they did the QuickTime events thing in a different way that felt a little more natural, even though as annoying as QuickTime events are. At least it was like something different. So I do give props to that.
I enjoyed
from my perspective.
I enjoyed the obscurity of the events in Heavy Rain. Just like the weirdness of everything. It was very quirky. I liked it. That's good. That's a good example of the Japanese quirkiness working well for them as far as like a Western gamer is concerned.
But and I think that's actually European. That's not developer. But Ubisoft Montreal's head David Mallat kind of talks about thinking people are ready for Always On. And I also bring this up because a lot of people in the chat are wondering what your thoughts on Always On is, Rachel.
Yeah.
A lot of people questioning you, but David Mallat, he didn't exactly say that we're ready per se, but he said, well, that's a question you should put to Microsoft and Sony. I would say that a lot of people are already always online through other devices. I would suspect that the audience is ready. As soon as players don't have to worry, then they will only take into account the benefits that these services bring.
My body is ready.
I
Frank's
feel
body is
the
ready.
same way. I am never offline when I'm on my Xbox. My Xbox is always online, and if the power goes out,
My
or
PS3 is always
internet,
constantly downloading something.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell
exactly.
it's doing. It's just
If
like blinking at me
I
all the
lose
time.
internet, I'm probably not playing a game anyways because I like to always be connected. Whether it's my Xbox, my computer, my phone, everything's connected. So if this new system has to be always on, it's not going to affect me.
Well, another rumor that came out this week, at the very beginning of the week, and these rumors, as always, are usually mostly unfounded, it's going to run on Windows 8. And my Windows 8 computer is always on for the most part. So it knows when I'm connected to the internet. It knows, like, it's downloading stuff in the background. I think if they're building their entire platform on it, it makes I mean, I hate the idea of it, but it definitely seems like they're building it towards being much, much more connected to the
I
internet.
don't ever want to be off online. That's scary.
I'm okay with not being
sounds like
online
a
all the time.
Limbo.
I can't.
Yeah.
I have to always be connected.
I agree with Kaori. I mean, like, I'm fine with it always being connected, but I don't want that to be and you have to be always on. To me, that's the frustrating aspect of it. It's like, yeah, when I have my Xbox Live Gold on, then I'm always connected to the internet and it's always running. But like I've mentioned last week, there's times when I'm moving and I want to be able to play a game. And I mean, why, if I buy a game that's a single player game, why do I have to have my internet hooked up to play it? I mean, there's
think it's
times
gonna
that my
be
internet's
more-
just not.
I think it's going to be more. I mean, like right now, I was thinking about it just last night. It asks me when I'm signing into a game, oh, do you really want to use this? You know, like you have to sign into a profile. I just think it's going to be less. I think it's going to be more transparent. It's going to do it automatically,
sometimes-
and that's going to be what people's definition of always on is. It's like, of course, I'm always going to be signed in my profile.
But sometimes you
Right.
have like choppy internet connection, and then you just gotta
Yeah,
sign
but then
on.
it drops out and it signs out. Some games are like really harsh with it, and they'll say like, "Oh, I can't operate without being signed into a profile." And then other games are just like, forget it.
But
you
look,
know,
the
we'll
always
go.
on controversy all routes back to the factor that supposedly you just cannot play your games unless you're connected to the internet.
And I think a lot of
That is what's frustrating
The rumors
to me.
are coming from the dev consoles, which that makes sense.
No, why?
We'll get back.
Anybody in media knows what a dev console is. They're gonna know that's not the case.
I think, though, a lot of people are being too dramatic with it, especially like, I'm not going to get this system if it's always on. How many times have you not been able, I mean, how many times have you thought to yourself, oh, I really wish I could play right now offline? It's really kind of silly. Like, people, when they say they not get the system if it's always online, really think about how many times have you played your games offline.
I do. I always play my console games
Yeah, I do
offline.
too.
Never,
I mean,
everything I do, my life is online.
Well, I
my
mean,
life is always on.
I went through like a 2-year span where I wasn't connected to Xbox Live Gold, where I just had the silver account, and I was like fine with it. I'm like, I'm buying
Technology
single
is
player
your friend.
games.
Embrace
I
it.
love technology, but I don't think it I just don't think
yeah.
it has to be there. I think it should be an option.
Exactly, the word option should be there. That's
I'm-
what I think too.
I'm just going to go back to what I said last week, which basically goes down to Call of Duty Black Ops 2 made $500 million in its first 24 hours, and World of Warcraft proved that you can get a bunch of people addicted to a game in which you have to be constantly always online. They know where the money in the market is, and they're going to go that direction, and the rest of you guys can, and to quote Adam Orth, we'll just have to deal with it. Now, before the internet shitstorm happens, I do want to say that I am not about this idea. I'm just saying that that's probably where they're going to go. They're going to go, like, these are businesses that are going to go the direction of the most guaranteed money that they know that they can get.
They're selling these consoles at a loss, though. You have to buy a certain number of games in order to play it. So you're buying a $500 console so that your Microsoft is selling you a $500 console so that you'll purchase not only one Call of Duty, but multiple games. And not all of those fans want online titles. They don't want every single one of their games to be a multiplayer experience, like a multiplayer person versus person match, like in Halo or Call of Duty.
Yeah, I like playing alone a lot of times.
Like, honestly,
Yeah.
if I want to boot up Call of Duty and play the single player campaign, like, I'm not really gonna want to
I
wait for it to
play
connect to the internet.
a crap ton of single player games, but I'm still always online.
I mean, look, I am when my internet's fine, but I just don't want that to be like I can't play my single player game if it's not hooked up. To me, they need to make a reason for it to be always online as a consumer. Why should I want it to be always on? All they're sending are incentives for them. It should always be on for it to be better for them, not for me. To me, as a consumer, it should be always on, but still work if it's offline.
Which I think it will.
yes.
Yeah, I think it will as
But the
well.
thing is that the rumors that have been coming out about always on is that it won't work if it's offline.
But rumors are always dramatizations of something. So
This is the way I
think
thought
people are
about
getting
it.
dramatic with
I
it.
enjoy the friends feature and the social feature and the online features of Xbox currently. Like, I'm their target, and I will plug my I will not, like, if I right now currently have the option to unplug my console, but it isn't unplugged. So I think that's the way it is. Like, it's going to be transparent, like Rachel's saying.
Okay.
You're going to have, it's going
So you're
to be
saying there
always
hasn't been
online.
a single time where you go onto your Xbox and it says that your user is signed out or can't sign in for some reason?
No, because the profile.
There's not been a single time that your profile can't sign in.
I
to the
reload
internet.
and it signs back in.
But
annoying
I can
to
sign in
reload.
on the console itself, though. Like, I can sign in locally and
But
then
I'm
start
talking
playing
about
the
the
games.
online part. I'm not talking
No,
about
of
your
course.
local connection.
There's been down times.
And that's supposedly from the rumors. That's what the big deal is that you can't play it when that happens.
I don't pay attention to rumors because people like to be dramatic and they like to get their panties in a twist about things.
My
so
panties are in a twist.
I can tell.
Pikmin 3!
Pikmin 3.
But I mean, I just think it should be an option. I mean, at the end of the day, if that is what it is, if it's always on, it's just always connected when you're connected to the internet. That's fine. That's fine with me. It's just that I believe in options. I think as a consumer, you should get options.
Do I reserve the right to say "I told you so" if this ends up going down?
Both of us will
Yeah.
go boom.
Why would you tell me? I'm not saying it's not going down.
I know, but like if it's so exactly the way that she and I say, like, can we like do that whole like?
I'm just speculating on a rumor right now.
Actually,
We'll do a dance.
let's do something. Let's put something down on it. If Rachel and Grant are correct, Dave has to do something exceedingly embarrassing, which will be chosen by the Game Control Live viewers. We will put this up to a vote.
I like how I've never even said this was actually happening or not. I'm just speculating on the rumor. This is my opinion based on a rumor that has come out.
I know, and you just got caught in a trap, man. So it's on. It's what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Bad for Dave.
All right. Sound off in the comments section what you want me to do on YouTube or at Game Control Live on
Nothing
Twitter.
physically damaging though, only mentally and emotionally.
Preferably emotionally.
Okay, let's move on to our next quote before this gets out of hand. So, because we're running pretty late, guys, sorry about that. But David Jaffe, I do want to talk about this quote, of God of War fame, also Twisted Metal fame, is quoted saying, "You are worth what you can negotiate." And essentially, he went on to a giant rant based off of a Kotaku article, basically saying that people blame publishers too much.
David Jaffe was on a rant all week long.
He's always on rants, though. He constantly goes on rants.
All these developers are on rants recently. They finally
Cliffy
found out
Blee.
what a blog
Cliffy
is,
Blee.
and they're like,
They're stressed.
But he basically says, quote, "You are worth what you can negotiate," in big, bold red letters on his blog, period. Don't like the way a publisher treats you, don't sign a contract with that particular publisher, or if you do, make sure you have what you will and won't tolerate written into the contract. He goes on to say some more things than AKA, this is business. You want to be treated better, sign a contract demanding it. You're not able to get such a contract, then improve your team until you can demand in the real world what you think you are really worth in your mind. For the time being anyway, you're not as good as you think you are.
spoken by someone who's got tons of money and tons of options.
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
I know. Some teams starting out, they don't have the money behind it, and they don't have other publishing options. They have to take what they can get. So, yeah, I don't think David Jaffe's really thinking about the little guys here.
I think he says most of his stuff with a very tongue-in-cheek, emphasis, though, because I was thinking about bringing this to the conversation earlier but it's mostly for writers. He outlined a system this week where everybody on the gaming community would put together a total of $175,000, and we would pay one single games journalist to cover the games industry. He wrote a long blog on his page. So if you want to go back and look at his blog,
he's just crazy.
I think he's a little bit nutty.
And we think that he's being silly, but he's like,
this is the man that created Twisted Metal and is most often associated with
God of War.
God of War, and calling all cars. You know what though? At first, when I first read it, the first article I read on it was from GamesIndustry.biz, and it was very skewed against him, and a lot of things I was reading were skewed against him. When I actually read the full thing, honestly, I'm kind of going to come off as the bad guy here, but I sort of agree with him to a point.
And he doesn't retract his stuff, so he puts it out there and he keeps it out there, which is good.
But specifically for this specific one, not what you were talking about, Grant, but this specific thing about.
I'm just speaking in generalities.
Just that this is
out there.
But just the fact that he's saying this is business. That's true. At the end of the day, it is a business, and you sometimes people forget that. It's the same thing with the music industry. A lot of people go in. Sadly, thinking hey, I love music, I want to get into it. But at the end of the day, it really is a business. And as much as that sucks, that's just kind of the fact of the matter. And people have been finding creative ways to make money and make awesome games like Kickstarter, like Shovel Knight, I'm so excited for. And I don't know if we would have seen that developed. But I think he does make a decent point with that at the end of the day, it's a business, and a publisher, why are they going to support your game if they don't think they're going to make money off of it, and it's going to be a huge loss?
But
Yeah, but
sometimes
publishers have made the
I mean,
wrong
sometimes
choices
publishers suck
recently.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it goes both ways, but I think he does have a point.
But sometimes you have to sign the shitty contract to get your first game out there. So then you're big enough, or you have the backing enough to sign a better contract.
I agree with that too. I mean, I think that is a good point. That he is, as you said earlier, taking it from the perspective of he's already David Jaffe. Of course, he can make whatever games he wants, and sign whatever contracts he wants.
Yeah, but people need to take chances, and if everyone thought the way he did, then there wouldn't have been as many games that flourished.
Maybe there wouldn't have been a Twisted Metal.
There would just be a
what
whole
about
bunch
that,
of
David Jaffe?
cocky people walking around.
Yeah, if everyone was cocky, then there wouldn't be no
Yeah.
excellence
Yeah.
But
created.
the one thing though to me that I did take away was it's a business, and that's true. But he also is a cocky dick in it, and he is.
Businesses
He
need to
generally
take
is.
chances.
I mean, he generally is. All right, but I do want to talk about some of your guys before we wrap up. Some of your guys' comments on YouTube. Ryoko Asakura, last fan, says, if you want to play your Xbox Live Arcade and 360 games, why not keep your 360? And this was based off of our conversation last week where we were talking about the add-on for Xbox that's supposedly coming out. To that, I would say, look, Ryoko, at this point, if I want to play... If I want to play my Super
What are you gonna
Nintendo
make
game,
wrong?
do I really need to? I have so many systems. Like, do I really
Yes.
want to have my NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, like N64, PlayStation, like all that stuff in my new apartment when I move to a new apartment?
Right. Well, it's like when you buy a new car, you don't want to have to keep your old car around
Yeah.
just because of one little feature it's got.
Like,
That's
oh, my
just
old
silly.
car had the CD player. This
I
one
know,
doesn't. It has
I
an
know.
MP3
So
player.
I've got to keep my old car too. It's I have so many systems.
Drive around with my old car taped to the roof of my new car.
player. I have so many systems hooked up still. I still have a PS2 hooked up. I would kind of like not to have everything still plugged to my TV.
Well, I would be totally comfortable with keeping my 360 if I thought it was gonna live, past the goldfish that I also have.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So, I mean, I think that it's just like, especially once you start moving around, it's hard to take all that stuff with you.
Yes. Yeah.
But Ryoko also had a question for us, which was, what do we consider hardcore gamers? And to me, I don't think it says like black and white is like a specific game you play. Like I generally just consider hardcore gamers just people who are generally really into games as opposed to just like play it once every few months.
It's your passion behind it. It's whether it's your life or not. If it's not your life, if you don't live and breathe games, I wouldn't call you a hardcore gamer. I don't think it's an insult calling somebody a casual gamer. That's just
No.
their preference. A lot of gamers like to use that as an insult, which I think is just sad. But it's your life. It's your passion.
Like, I don't think you need to play JRPGs to be a hardcore gamer,
No.
which a lot of people think. I don't think you need to be a PC guy to be a hardcore gamer, or like your only game isn't Call of Duty. Like, I don't think it's any specific thing like that. It's
Yeah.
what you said. It's just your passion
I
behind
was
it.
told once by Fatality, who used to be famous competitive
Johnny
gamer.
Fatality?
Who used
John
to be.
Fatality?
Well, because my first interaction with him, we were talking about games, and he flat out told me to my face that I wasn't a real gamer because I don't play mainly PC games. And I was like, are you freaking serious? What a douchebag.
You're not a real gamer, Rachel.
Yeah. So,
He's a pretty abrasive person.
But he plays tennis all the time, you guys. I saw that about.
unimpressed.
I think they did that on G4 about how he has to stay in shape for gaming.
Oh, God.
I think the competitive gamer, I think the hardcore gamer, people who enjoy playing what they play and play it often and discuss what they play.
It's
with
more
their
than a
community.
hobby.
Yeah,
If it's
definitely.
more than a hobby, then they're a hardcore gamer.
All right, but guys, thank you so much for joining us. And before we go away, I do want to say, if you could please go to YouTube, go to iTunes. We love your support in any way possible. It's Game Control Live, or you can search AfterBuzz TV, Game Control Live. Please rate, please comment. We love getting your comments, and we will try to latch on to your guys' comments from YouTube. So not only are you on the live chat, but we'll interact with you this way.
We love you
and
guys.
go to our live chat. It's AfterBuzzTV.com, and we go live. We stream live noon to 1 p.m. Pacific time on Saturdays every single week. And I have a question of the week for all of you guys who are watching, especially on YouTube and iTunes. You can comment in, or you can tweet at Game Control Live. What announcement from Nintendo Direct had you the most excited? Was it Pikmin 3?
Yay!
Was it
Pikmin 3!
Link to the Past 2? Or was it something entirely different? Let us know what you guys think, and we'll definitely read off next week some of our favorite ones and and definitely give you guys some credit for that. So guys, Once again, my name's Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at the Dave Klein. That's Klein, or my website djk-online.com.
And I'm Kaori Takee. You can find me at KAORIOUS and find me on Facebook.
I'm Grant. You can find me at GAK on Twitter.
And I'm Rachel, and on Twitter I'm at the Rachel, and you can check out my website, which is just rachel.com.
And John Quick.
That's right. You can also find me at the corner of Hill Street and Figueroa. For those of you wondering what I'm doing, well, you'll just have to show up there one random Saturday and find out now, won't you?
Suspense.
As a hint, it isn't game related.
Yeah. Or is it?
Or is See you guys next week.
Bye. Pick the 3!
Executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.